Well, welcome back to Watercolor Studio 42, and we're getting around that time of year, Christmas, okay? And so I had this idea in the back of my head, and you know, I used to spend, when I was a little boy, a lot of time looking out the window. Not so much looking into the house from the outside, because I was a little bit too short for that to get up to those window casings, but looking out the window quite a bit. And so this particular picture is going to be kind of looking in, sort of the outside of the, showing a little bit of the window, you know, casing, and I've got a tree in there and one candle. Actually, at home, I usually have 2 candles per window, something like that. And I know I'm kind of a little bit leery of 2 even things, but it works all right, the spacing and all that. And I do 2 in every window, so I have about 3 or 4 windows on the front of the house that I do the candle. And so looking in, the larger window in the living room, of course, that's usually where the tree goes. And it takes up quite a bit of space. And I have to build a tree every year, put it together, you know, the individual branches, so forth. So I'm getting pretty good at it, but you only do it once a year, so you just have to make sure when you pack it, put it away, you get all those branches that are all the same color, you know, color coded and stuff, and the same length and all that. Put them all together with elastic bands and whatnot, so that when you put everything out, you start with 1, 2, 3. You use about 10 layers, I guess, of branches, so forth. Well, anyways, so let's see what we can do. Now, I don't know if I mentioned it before. Sometimes I do the picture. Usually I sketch it out, maybe on a piece of paper, you know, and get my ideas down, what I want to do with the thing. And then I start off with the pencil drawing. Sometimes I use the ruler, use the straight edge, but you can do the whole thing freehand if you'd like, if you've got pretty steady hand. The candle might be a little bit crooked here or there and so forth, but that's okay. You know, we can get away with that. So now in this case, we're going to be looking in. So I'm just going to do kind of like the room, the background, and using blue is always a safe color to use for your background. So let's wet the background a little bit. You have to go around some of these areas. And sometimes I use a tape to make an imaginary margin or border, a mat, if you will. And this time I'm just going to let it go at random to the edge. Now, if you start off with a larger brush, you're not going to get too fussy and picky, you know. So that's what I do a lot of times. I start off with a larger brush and put in these little wet washes for the background. Okay, here we are. You don't have to be too fussy about going over the edge. If you're using a permanent marker, make sure it's a permanent marker. It says right on the side of the marker that it's permanent, and you can paint right over it. It won't run. Okay. Let's go, whoops, let's get up to the top here a little bit more. You can go right to the edge for the outside. Okay. So we've got the paper, and if it forms some puddles here and there, what I usually do is I wipe up those puddles. Let's get something on the back edge so I don't get the table too spotty. There you go. Another napkin over here. There we go. Now, sometimes you can tape your paper down, because what happens is the watercolor paper tends to buckle, roll up a little bit. A lot of times I'll wet the background first and then place it down on the board, and then it stays relatively flat. And when you're outside painting too, the air and the sun and everything dries out your paper too soon. So if you wet both sides, usually it will stay moist a little longer than what would normally do. Now, okay, so back here, I usually keep my colors pretty much. I've got your yellow at the top, red on my left side, and blue over here, and some of the neutral colors, I just keep them down at the bottom. My neutral color today is Payne's Gray. It's sort of an off gray color. I think it's got a little bit of blue to it, but it's mostly gray. Okay, so now, use the biggest brush you might have. Let's look around here, and I usually use a flat brush. I probably don't. Where did I put it? Not hiding. Okay, under the paper. Yeah, we'll use this one. There we go. All right. So we're going to take a little bit of the blue. I'm going to take some of that blue and I'm going to put it in one of the empty wells. Put a little bit over in this one. Okay, here we go. Now, as far as doing the background, you don't have to be overly fussy about things, just because your blue's got to slide around on that wet surface, and that's the idea of watercolor, is keep it sort of fluid. That's my opinion, anyways. That I like to keep it fluid. And this is going to be the background inside the house. Suggested pictures of whatever you might have on the wall. Okay. Now, of course, if you add more color, it's going to be darker. Okay. It's going to come out darker. And you might have some deeper shadows in the background. We'll see what we need towards the end. Now I'm going to come right down into here, show a little bit of maybe the wall showing through. Make sure that what you want left white. Don't put any color. There you go. Go in here. The outside window sash can be, maybe leave it white, possibly. And you can mat this a little bit later if you want, or mount it and you see the whole piece of paper. Okay, there we go. Now, oops, there's a lot of water on that brush here. So I have to kind of blot it or pick it up, do something with it. Yeah. Okay. If you leave too much water, the problem is it takes a lot longer for the paper to dry, especially if the area you're working in, if it's kind of damp to begin with, like a basement or whatever, it will take a little longer to dry. But I usually do the background first, kind of get this, let's put it this way, put a lot of color on the paper. Okay. I'll put some more towel under here. It's blue paint, so it kind of goes with the tablecloth color blue. Not that I want to get too much paint on the tablecloth. All right, put something over here. Okay, whatever happens in here, I'm not quite sure. Now, the secret of watercolor is that you don't have to be too fussy. You can allow a lot of the background color, you know, the white of the paper come through. Okay. Now, the thing is, you can always give it another coat of paint, too. You can keep working around it a little bit as you go. I'm picking up some of the wet, a lot of wet here. I want it to dry a little bit faster. Okay. All right, now, another thing we want to consider is maybe seeing a little bit of color. Now, some people like white trees. I know my daughter had a white, instead of a green evergreen tree, she had a white one for a long time. I think she's gone back to green again this year. But let's take a little bit. I'm going to take a little bit of yellow, and I'm going to mix it up in here. I take a lighter color, and when I want to, let's say, put another color into it to change it, like if I put the blue into yellow, it turns green. So let's try this, see what happens. Here we go. We've got some green in now. See, it turns green. And if you want a deeper green, you just add a little bit extra blue. And you can go back and forth, put a little more yellow, mix it around, make sure it looks green. Okay. Now the green can be sort of, again, kind of put in with a bigger brush and keep some openings in there. Kind of follow the contour of the way the branches would go. Some people put snow on the Christmas tree also. They can use sometimes they have that spray snow. It's like shaving cream, you know, the way they squirt it on. But you can do that. Okay. And again, I kind of dance around and keep it more fluid. I don't mind colors running into each other. I'll use up quite a bit of that. But see, you're getting some color in there. You're getting some color into your picture. Let's mix up a little bit more blue, a little bit more yellow. And this may come out a little darker, possibly. Let's see what I can do. Now you can have a shadow side on this, depending on where the light source is coming from inside the house. You can have a shadow side. The whole thing can be in the shadow if you want it to be. Might be anyways. Okay, yeah. Okay. So you get the idea, and you can leave quite a bit of white in there if you want. Now, the tree that we have now has an angel that you insert on the top, the angel, and some of them light up. They have a light inside. Or you can put, when you put the lights on the Christmas tree, you can kind of leave some around that area. But let's use some yellow and just do a little paint, bit of the star in here. Okay, something like that. And guess what? If we have a candle, they have these candles out. They look like an actual flame, but the way it's designed, you know, there's a little flicker thing to it. And you don't want live candles. You don't want, you want the electric ones. But the thing you want to stay away from is the actual live candle. You don't want to do that. So that's that. I put a little bit of red in there mixed into the yellow. Kind of looks orangey. Now I don't know, you could spend a little bit of time putting cast shadow on the candle, or we can come back here and maybe do a little bit of something on the walls. If you want to put a little bit of more color into your walls, you can hit some of these pictures, whatever they might be on the wall. They're not going to be too actually recognizable. I usually do flowers and stuff. I have some of my paintings hanging in the living room. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe five paintings in my living room. Some of my favorite ones. Okay. Now, this depends on what you want to do. I like the silver balls, the bulbs for the tree. And so you can almost keep the color white in there and just add like a little highlight in there, maybe using a paint spray or something, and whatnot. Now, whether you want to do the casing on the outside, that's okay. Some people have white. I think ours is a white casing. I know we had a whole thing done a few years ago. We had a wood, and wood is fine, except over a period of time it does, decay and kind of look kind of worn out. So sometimes you have to do something else with it. Now, I'm going to take a little bit of my Payne's Gray and just see if I can put some shadow on the casing so it shows up a little better. It's on the outside. And just a little band of color on one side of it. Makes it look a little bit more three-dimensional. You can go a little darker, add a little bit more paint to your water. Okay, this side. Now that's quite a bit darker, isn't it? Let's put some more water on the brush and pull some of that color out. Something like that, okay? Now if you go over a little bit, just take a clean paper towel, and before it dries in, settles in, you just blot it a bit. And you can kind of perk it up a little bit more. Get some of that out of there. Okay, let's go across this way. Usually on the casing, it's going to be the kind of the under part, the bottom. We'll put a little paint on that and soften it out. Across here. Just have it kind of fade out off to the edge. Kind of fade out. Now, if that gets a little bit heavy, right into here, you can see, catch it before it settles in. Take some of that off. Okay. Now you can see, now, I have a tendency myself, I start off very, very light and kind of build up the color as you go along. And sometimes I start off with a larger brush because I don't want to get too uptight too soon, you know, with a picture. So we'll put some more color in here. Pull that down, right down, have it sort of fade out. You get to the edge and just have it fade out, okay? Here we go. Different ways of doing this. Some people have darker casing on the windows. We used to have, when we had the wooden ones, I think we used to have sort of a brown color. Kind of burnt sienna type of color. Okay, that's about it. You want to put a little shadowing across the base here, that's fine. Just pull that across. It's a little bit dark here, just pull it out. Blot it out. And that's that, there. Now, you can get as busy as you want with this picture. Excuse me. We can get it pretty busy with this. Or you can kind of let it go as it is. I think myself personally, I'd put a little bit more color on the candle. Now, you can have it, you can leave the candle white, or you can give it a soft, introduce another color into it, sort of a softer pinkish color. Kind of adds a little bit more to it. And just right along that side there. All right. We follow it right down on here. Picked up that pinkish color over here. It adds a little bit of a more Christmassy color to it. And we've repeated a little bit of red up in here. So now this is up to you if you want to make some of the bulbs colorful. I would probably make some a little bit red. Ornaments, whatever you want to do with it. Now I'm being overly cautious here with all this. Yeah, take that out. Now, you can let this set up a little bit more. I want to see if I can take some of that out of there. Pour it out. The beauty of watercolors is you can reactivate the area and reactivate the color so that you don't have to worry about it. You know, it doesn't settle in that much. And if you want to bring out a little bit more darker contrast, now you can come back and we're going to use our blue some more. Now, if you want the blue to be a little deeper, excuse me, we'll dry this one out. If you want that color to be a little bit deeper, you can put a little bit more of a darker shade of blue in there. and you can make certain things jump out a little bit more. Now, I may have to add a little bit more yellow. Kind of running out of that yellow. Let's put a little bit back up in here. And we're going to take a little bit of the yellow, mix it over here. We've already got some blue. Take a little bit more blue. Now what happens a lot of times is that you put too much blue on the brush, so now you have to backtrack and put some yellow back in to offset the blue. Once it looks okay, you can start in again. And you can make, bring it out, the tree a little bit more in contrast. Let you show up a little bit more. Now you can work these colors in as long as you want to, but if it's too heavy, just pick up some of that, lift it out, and put it somewhere else. Anyhow. Now that's the inside, so you don't want to see it coming through. See how I hit the sash there? Now, I don't panic because I have my white, and anytime I want to hide a color, I just use my white acrylic and touch it up. That's towards the end. See how it overran the casing here? You can just pull that out if you want and blot it. It takes a lot of it out. Okay, let's put some more darker shades in here. Whoops. Now, make sure your colors are mixed a little bit more than I have them. Not that you don't have to make it too perfect, Some people like to keep everything real natural, to the color. Whatever it is. And we know that evergreen is much darker than what we have here. You can learn a lot. Use the pictures, the paintings on the cards, because predominantly most of your color the picture is done with watercolor. Most of them are watercolor. You'll find some oils. Whatever you want to add to the tree. These little curlies can be candy canes if you want. And that might be a way of getting back some of the red, because you want to make sure that it looks more Christmassy. So you can do that. I'm just going to put a little bit more color. Oops. Put more blue into that. Starting to look too much yellow. We can touch this. I don't know what that is there. Whoa. Came across. See, I made a little bit of a mistake there, but you can lift that out if you catch it soon enough. It's nothing to worry about. But if you drop any water on there or the wrong color on something, you can always take it out. You can even put some blue back in the tree if you want. Oh, a couple of drops over here. You can hide that. Just paint it out. That's one way. Now, this is up to you, but you can come back with a smaller brush and you could decide whether you want some of the lights to be have a little bit more red, right? Maybe the bulbs. So you can start jumping around here and make some of these things. Now, if you have a candy cane, you can kind of decorate that. Put the color back in here. I'm just putting some little dabs in there. Now, I don't know about you, but it's pretty obvious that, you know, the Christmas bulbs, they come in different sizes. So a lot of times, if you have little children helping, they'll take the biggest bulb and hang it up, you know, towards the top. So what happens after a while, if you do that too much, you get all these heavy, big bulbs hanging from the top and the little ones at the bottom. So what we try to do is make sure that we put all the big bulbs on first and put them in there and make sure where they're going to go, and then the next larger size, and then the finale as you get to the top, the smallest bulbs, the smallest everything. So it's large, medium, and small, and have it kind of, you know, sort of blend in up to the top. Okay, so now I don't know how much detail you want to get into here, but you can do a lot with it, and even the little pictures on the wall, you can suggest a little bit of, you know, color, texture, whatever. I know some of the pictures I have up there are floral paintings, and sometimes, oh, I know, I have a winter scene. Actually, it's the backyard, all the trees, oak trees and stuff in the backyard, and a lot of texture of the bark, multicolored texture of the bark. These are pictures that you kind of can spend quite a bit of time with. Okay, when you see me painting, like here, a demo, I'm kind of doing it a little faster than normal. I make sure my drawing is a little bit more accurate, you know, as far as measurement and so forth, and location of the shapes. You can see how this is the window casing is the cross, and the candle, of course. You can have other candles in there if you want to arrange it differently. You don't have to have the edges fade away like this. You know, you can do something else with it. And see now, it's a little bit more heavier. Needs heavier green. So I'm running out of my blue over there, so I better add a little bit more blue over in here. And let's take some of that, mix it around. You can buy tubes of green if you're a person that uses, you know, you're going to use a lot of green. You do a lot of plants and things with the leaves and stems and whatnot. You might want to have a tube of green so you don't have to use your yellows and your blues as much. You already got that color here. I will put some of that out. I'll put it up in here for now. And I'm just going to use it to see how dark it is. See what color It's not, oh, it's a very deep green, that's for sure. See how dark that is? Quite a bit. So you can add some of that in there, texture of the tree. Now, like I said, you could do as much as you want painting in the texture. You make a lot of detail. The only thing is, if you do something here, you have to kind of repeat it all the way up through. So it looks like we're working on the same tree. You make sure you cover it, make sure you fill it in. Where are we, over here? Yeah. All right, let's do some on this side. And we could do a little bit down around there. This could be a little bit darker right underneath here, because you know you're probably blocking some of the light being underneath all those branches. So this could be filled in a little bit darker down there. Right now I get a lot of blue. You don't have to make it that much blue. Now, let's say that gets a little bit too much blue, well, what I usually do is I take and blot it, pick up some of the blue out of there, and come back with some yellow and mix that right in there and change some of that blue back to, green again. So that's one of the advantages, I think, of watercolors, that you can come back, and if there's something that you want to touch up, just wet the paper, just wet it with water and blot it, and you can change some of that color quite a bit. Take it right out of there. Okay, it's still a little bit heavy down here. When I say heavy, I mean it's darker shade. So this will give you an idea how this works. Now, this looks kind of funny the way it is here. You have to make sure we know what's inside and what's outside. So if something's starting to look like it's outside, we come back and make sure we touch it up. If we're not sure about what's going on, we can always hide something. This is white acrylic paint, and it's a plastic type of base to it, so when it dries out, you can't reactivate any of the color. It's just you have to either just put another coat of white over it to hide anything. Now, you could take it out that way, or you can find an empty well here, just put a dab of that in. My bottle's sitting a little bit empty. Ah, there we go. Okay, so you got this color, and wherever you want to touch up, you can. Now, if you don't like what's happening here, you can paint it out if you're not sure what's going on. Now, this down in here, if you don't want that to show up as much, paint it out, okay? wherever you see something that's kind of, well, it doesn't look quite right, that looks a little heavy here, watch this. Get some white on your brush. As long as that's dry, you can just paint into it and take some of that out. Take some of this or lighten it up. Pull this back. So, you know, you can do a lot with watercolor and correct some of your mistakes. You can come back up into a picture. This here, if these are supposed to be pictures on the wall, you can add a little texture into it. Whatever, do something with it. Okay. You got some spots here. You don't like the shape of those two spots. Make sure you don't have too much paint on your brush. Look at the brush around, reactivate it, and those spots are gone. You just blend them out. Now, let's see what we got here. We're a little bit heavy on the red, so what we could do is kind of counterbalance this a little bit more with some of the pinks in here. When you do that, you have to put some of that back up in there. Just wiggle your brush around and just soften it out. Pull it back into the blue. That's it. Now what happens a lot of times when you do a painting, one color will go into run into the other, or will go over. But you could take your white, let's say if you don't want too much of that in here, just touch it up. You could touch it up with a white. If some of these little textured marks that you put on there, if you don't like too many of them, if they look crooked or whatever they're doing, again, you can hide it, take something out. It just doesn't look right. Let's put some white back. Let's see what happens if you hit it, break that up with some white in there. It might change it a little bit. And if you don't like it, you can always let that dry and go over it with the color again. Okay. Yeah. Now you can always go back in, and you can always go back and, let's say if you wanted to give this a little bit more glow, you can wiggle the brush around with some yellow, and it gives it a little bit of a glow. Have it fade out. Pull it back right into here. Take this. Now, if that color is still a little bit wet, it may start mixing, so you're going to start getting your yellow turning green. So you let that dry more, and don't scrub it in. Just hit it softly, and you can blend some color back into that, makes it glow. Now, if you want to do the same thing with a candle, again, you get some yellow on your brush, and just give that a little bit of a glow, and just blend it out. Push it back up into here, or around it, I should say. It gives it a little bit of a glow. Now, you could do all sorts of things with this. You can have, let's say, if you got a glow here, maybe that little glow is reflecting on the wood a little bit outside. You know, it might be, or it might be reflecting down here. So you just repeat some of that color into here. So you know, You got some yellows up there. Now you're offsetting it with some yellow over here. So sort of kind of tie things together here. You carry around. So there's all sorts of different things you can do with your paintings. Now, I mentioned that sometimes I do something entirely with a ruler, but that doesn't mean to say you have to. You can go back and use something else. You want to put a little bit more color here. Repeat it over here. Okay, whatever pictures of something hanging on the wall. And you certainly can add more color on the bulbs. Hit them a little bit more. Repeat, get that color moving around. Again, I can come back, and I've only used a little bit of orange in one place. You probably put a few specks in here. It gives you an idea how that works. And now you can decide when you put a mat on it whether the mat's going to be a white or a darker color, and that's up to you. The mat can color, I should say, cover some of the edges around here. Okay, but if you're not sure about it, make sure you take your brush and make sure it doesn't have any other color on it. Check it out. And you could take your blue again and take some of that blue and have that come right out. Cover it in here again, okay? There you go. That's how that works. Just repeat it around there again. You can always go darker. I usually go darker around the base. Down here, you can always go deeper, put some deeper color into here, if you so desire. And then if that's a little bit much, just take your brush and pull some of that out, or spread it around. Could be a cloth on the windowsill or something. You can take some of that out. It just ties it in. If you want to go a little darker with the blue up in here, you can take some out of here, put a little bit of it up in here. And again, you're holding your picture together. You know, so that's the idea of it. And squint, see if you're getting a contrast. If something doesn't jump out enough, then that means it may need a little darker color. So sometimes I take the blue, if I can find an empty well here, take some of that Payne's gray, mix it into your blue, and so you can get some deeper color. That might be a little bit much, but let's see. If I thin it out, right, pull it out, it gives it, and repeat that up in here, and you can cross over, put some in here, put some over here, and bring out some of that darker contrast. Okay, let's see how that, yeah, not bad. Okay, yeah. So that's whatever you want to do, you do with your artwork. Now, sometimes when you're doing a card, sometimes it's a little bit tricky. So what I do sometimes, I've got this thing here, I put some tape down. This is just masking tape, but what you can do a lot of times is take this. We'll use one of these colors we haven't used before, and just fill all of that in. Okay, so when you take the tape off, because you're going to have that shape in there. All right. Now this is going to be kind of this is very spontaneous. You notice I didn't draw anything yet. I didn't draw the picture. You just paint it in. Just put a tree in there. And you can have some light coming, you know, a moon. You can put the moon in the background. And do a tree. If the tree doesn't look quite right, you can redesign it a bit more. Pull it out. And the problem here is that you got to let it dry a little bit more. I'm going to kind of help it along. See, you can do something with this. Now, let it dry, then come back with a marker. And that has to be real dry, otherwise your markers won't do anything on the paper. Okay. Now here's where we get. I hope that's dry enough. It may not be. I'll put the fan on it, huh? Put the fan on. So anyways, you've got this done. So what you do is come back in here, and you're going to take a marker, and you're going to draw into this. And now it would work better. It needs to be drier. It needs to be a little bit drier. But this is how you can sometimes do a picture. See? Now that's okay if what you've done so far, but you may still want to come back in and add a little bit more texture to it. So let's mix. You can mix some green or use some green from your tube. And now you're going to go back into this and add a little bit more texture into it. See how you can control it a little bit more once it's drier? And you can put more texture back into this. I don't like that the way I outline that shape in there. So what I do, if I don't like it as much, blot it. Okay, you take that right out of there and just redo it. You might have to reshape the brush a little bit more and leave a little bit more white in that. And now let that dry, or you can come back into it. Let's use some of our Payne's Gray, or you can start putting some shadow into it with the paint. But you do have to be careful with that too, because see how that can get a little bit too much on one side? That's because probably my brush was a little bit too large. Maybe if I used a smaller brush, I could control that a little bit more. Okay, but see how you can kind of work into that? Now, some of this takes maybe a little bit more practice. You know, notice I got a point on the brush, and you just pull it out. Just lift up as you're pulling out, left, right. See how you can reshape that, the whole picture, and do something else with it. Then, if this is up to you, if you want to make some hills, you can have some hills like in the background. You can put something in here. You can have a lake, a skating rink in there, whatever you want to do with it. And this could be all just a background. There. Okay. Now, I'm doing this kind of quick, so you might have to pull it around and make it a little softer. Don't make too much texture. Just maybe a flat color would do better in there. Leave it white here, white above, a little bit off here. Maybe something off on this side. It's just a little shape or something. But see how you can build this picture. 1, 2, 3 areas. How about putting that color like in maybe down here somewhere? So you got 1, 2, 3 areas. You could do something with sky. You could make it like a clouds going by, or whatever you want to do with it. Now, see how I jump around? No, not one particular thing. And you can make that, cut this out, and make cards out of it. Or just put it in a small little picture frame. Okay, well, hey, gosh, I'm running out of time, so, hey, folks, time to say goodbye and brush us up. See you next time.